I mean, this all came from biblical stuff, though, correct?
Yeah. So the biblical giants, you don't see much of them in the canonical Bible. The Nephilim are mentioned once, and I could talk about them a little bit. But we learn more about giants when the Book of Enoch is discovered. And the Book of Enoch was discovered when, like, an adventurer, I forget when it was, maybe 18th century, was looking for the source of the Nile River, which was kind of a big deal at the time. And he found it. And it was somewhere in Ethiopia. And he gets to know the locals there, and they're Ethiopian Jews that have been there for 3,000 years. So he's friendly with them. They take him up to their, whatever you call it, their church, and he sees this giant book. What's that? Like a giant book. What's that? He said, that's the Bible. He said, oh, it's a Bible? They said, no, that's the Bible. When the King James Bible, I don't know how many books it is, like 66 or something like that, where this had over 100 books. And in there were Book of Enoch, the Book of Giants, all this other stuff. So you have Genesis that starts, basically let there be light. But in this expanded Bible, you have all this stuff that happened before then. So we know a little bit about Moses from the Bible, but if you read these other books, you learn all about Moses and Enoch and Methuselah, and these men are all related, and going back this like 10 or 12 generations from Adam, it's all in there. And this kind of ties in with the pseudo-archaeology and how mainstream wants you to stay in your lane. So this book is discovered, and they've had this for thousands of years. But then much later, the Dead Sea Scrolls are found. And then among the thousands of parchment there's the Book of Enoch, copies and copies of it, and the Book of Giants. So the story is that there's these sky gods. And this story, for people who know it, is going to track exactly with the Anunnaki. It's going to track right with it. This Bible story is going to track right with it. So you've got these sky gods, and they send watchers down to Earth. And their job is to shepherd and guide humans, teach them animal husbandry and agriculture and all that stuff. But the watchers become corrupt and fascinated with human women. And Hecklefish says, oh, that's not going to end well. And it didn't. So the watchers, who are probably angels, they interbreed with humans, and then their offspring are the Nephilim. And the Nephilim are they're giants. In some books, they're 350 feet tall. They're vicious. They're violent. They're cannibals. And these are the unholy offspring of the angels and humans.
Is it angels and humans or demons and humans?
In the earlier books, what's the difference? I don't think the books really take a stance, because the watchers are there with good intentions. But I think there's lessons in all of that anyone could be corrupted. Certainly, Persian women are pretty enough. So the giants now they're ravaging the world, and they're just making a mess of things. And that's when God decides it's got to stop. We got to start over.